It's 5 o'clock. I'm called this meeting to order for the March 15th, 2021 Saugeen Shores Committee of Adjustment, and we're meeting by Zoom, and I call this meeting to order. Item number 2 is the acknowledgement of any pecuniary interest. You either make your acknowledgement now or at such time that it appears on the agenda. If not, we'll move on to the adoption of minutes. May I have a motion to adopt the minutes, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson and seconded by Mr. Legault. Any questions or comments about the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Our next item is a public hearing, which is number 4.1, A-2020-078. Mr. Edward Kopinski. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, sir.
No, that's okay. That's close.
Okay. With the municipal address of 556 Eckford Avenue in the former town of Southampton. Ms. Mugabe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I will share my screen. Can you see my screen?
No.
Okay, how about now?
No.
No, I don't mind if that's okay.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Chair. The application before committee was submitted by Mr. Kapuscinski for his property, which is 556 Eckford Street in Southampton. Could you advance the slide, please, Jay? The existing cottage is set well back.
You're on it's your screen now. Somehow yours is working.
Okay, that's great. Okay. The existing cottage is set well back from Eckford Street and is presently accessed via an open road allowance. There are a couple of trees along the frontage and as well within the front yard and backyard. And I understand from the applicant that 10 of those trees will be cut down to allow or to facilitate the proposed development. So this is the existing cottage on the property. This photograph shows the rear of the existing dwelling. As you can see, the attached deck that we'll be talking about tonight. The property is surrounded by other residential uses and servicing is by municipal water and sewers. Access to the proposed dwelling would be through Eckford Street, which is a year-round municipal road. The purpose of the application is to facilitate the construction of a replacement dwelling with an attached deck. Lots abutting the Lake Huron shoreline and situated between Deer Run Court and Cameron Drive shall have a rear yard setback of 3 meters. The proposed dwelling complies with this setback, but the deck does not. So relief is requested to reduce the rear yard setback from 3 meters to 1.4 meters for the deck. Section 3.35B deals with yard encroachments and permits unenclosed decks to project into the required rear yard by not more than 3 meters, provided any encroachment into the rear yard maintains a minimum setback of 1 meter from any lot line. Relief is also requested from this section to project into the rear yard setback, resulting in the unenclosed deck being 0.5 meters from the rear lot line instead of 1 meter. The applicant has submitted elevation drawings for the proposed dwelling. At the top is the front elevation and below is the west side or rear of the proposed dwelling. The town has submitted comments to the effect that if committee is considering an approval, given the proximity to the road allowance, there should be a condition of approval requiring confirmation that structure setbacks from the road allowance are confirmed by a surveyor. There were no adverse comments received from the commenting agencies. We did not receive any comments from members of the public. I'll now speak to the 4 tests of a minor variance. Test number 1. Does the minor variance maintain the intent and purpose of the official plan? The subject land is designated primary urban communities in the Bruce County official plan and residential in the Saugeen Shores official plan. Residential uses are permitted within the designation. Test number 2. Does the variance maintain the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? The subject lands are zoned residential first density, and a single detached dwelling with an attached deck is a permitted use. Relief from section 7.42 is required to reduce the rear yard setback from 3 meters to 1.4 meters for the deck. Relief from section 3.35 is requested to project into the rear yard setback, resulting in the unenclosed deck being 0.5 meters from the rear lot line instead of 1 meter. There is still adequate space to maneuver around the dwelling for access and maintenance. The property is located between Eckford Street and Lake Huron. Therefore, there is no neighbor that could be impacted by the reduced rear yard setback. The decks provide some amenity space, which is typically provided by a rear yard setback. The variance maintains the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. Test number 3. Is the variance requested desirable for the appropriate and orderly development and use of the buildings? The location of the proposed decks affords the landowner's view to the waterfront, which is desirable. Decks expand living spaces to include functional space where landowners can enjoy the outdoors. They also add aesthetic appeal to the exterior of buildings. It is not expected that the proposed deck will have any effect to the functionality of the site. The proposed development will be an improvement on the site. The variance represents an appropriate form of development for the use of the land. Test number 4. Is the variance minor in nature? It is not expected that permitting the variance will have any adverse impact on the character of the area or impact the ability of adjacent property owners to use their property for permitted uses. In terms of the impacts to municipal functions, the town has no objection to the application. The Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority finds the application acceptable and has indicated that impact to the natural environment is negligible. The proposed application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance. To recap, minor variances are requested to facilitate the construction of a replacement dwelling with an attached deck. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement. It upholds the objectives of the Saugeen Shores official plan and represents good land use planning. The application satisfies the 4 tests of a minor variance. Staff recommends approval of the application subject to the conditions on the decision sheet. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Mugabe. We'll come back to the screen. Mr. Kopinski, would you wish to address the committee?
I can make a couple of points. The one thing that isn't really reflected very well in my site plan is the fact that the way the building is going to be situated on the lot, it actually diverges. It's not parallel to the rear lot line. It actually runs on an angle. So the closest point is the southwest corner of the deck to the rear property line, which is, that's where I'm requesting the relief, being 0.5 meters from the lot line to the uncovered deck and 1.4 meters to where the covered deck begins. But if you move along that lot line to the north, at the extreme corner of the lot line, and where it comes into where it crosses the deck, it's actually 1.9 meters is the distance between the deck and the rear property, rear lot line. And to the covered portion, that's the other bylaw, it's about 4.3 meters. So it's not the entire structure that requires relief. It's about, I'd say 50-50, but not 100%. It's mostly that southwest corner that comes to the closest point to the rear property line. That's more evident on the survey. If you have a chance to look at the survey, you can see it kind of runs on an angle. But that's the only thing that I had to mention there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Committee, any comments or questions? Seeing none. Oh, Councillor Rich?
Yeah, just a quick question. How far is the lot line from the water right now? Anybody know? Just a general idea, like this map.
I'm guessing around, I think I put 41 meters, but I don't think it's that much. I think it's about 100 feet.
Okay.
See no other questions. May I have a motion to approve minor variance A-2020-078 as attached, subject to the conditions on the decision sheet? Who would like to move that motion? Moved by Ms. Kuntz, seconded by Councillor Carr. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. I don't believe that we have any additional business today. Our next meeting will be held on April the 19th, 2021, and that will be confirmed. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Can I have just one more question?
Certainly.
So is this mean that based on your analysis, the minor variance is approved, or do you guys meet on this? Is this kind of the final decision at this point?
Yes, it's approved.
Okay, that's approved.
Mhm.
The other thing I wanted to mention, just a couple minor things. I noticed there's a couple misspellings of my name on the on the application. It's K-A-P, not K-U-P. Not a big deal, but I just
Okay, I saw that. Yeah.
yeah. And then I think on page 12 it says the address is 566 and it should be 556.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. May I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mr. Legault, seconded by Councillor Rich. All in favor?